So we're in Morrison's. So I'm going to be showing you what I would be eating if I was dieting. Now, when we're dieting, obviously we need to be in a calorie deficit, so we want to get as much food as we can for the amount of calories we're eating. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I would be eating, show you tips and tricks for dieting. So first of all, we're going to start off with a good carb source, which I'd usually have pre-workout. So I'm going to get bagel thins. So I either have bagel thins with either jam. So if I was having it with jam, then I'd usually opt for the cinnamon raisin ones because they taste a lot nicer and they ain't really too much calorie difference. But if I was having like a pre-workout bagels with eggs, then I'd just opt for the normal ones because obviously going to be whacking a load of pink Himalayan salt and pepper on, but these contain a lot of carbs, so we can fuel our workout and get the most out of it, especially in a deficit because carbs are going to be low, so we need something to fuel our workout. So these per bagel have 130 calories, which is not a lot at all, and they contain 25 grams of carbs, so that is a lot of carbs for so little calories. Next up on the list are squares bars. Now these are not in my plan, but if they were, now I'll put them in some of my clients' plans who are on the go and they're quite busy, so that's what they are good for. And it's the same sort of thing with the pre-workout. Now these are just a quick, easy alternative snack, and they're quite high in sugar, so it's quite good for pre-workout as well. And they contain 127 calories, so not a lot again, and they contain 24 grams of carbs, so very similar to the bagels. But personally, because I have all the time in the world, I opt for bagels because I think they fill me up a lot more. But obviously with squares bars as well, they're going to fulfill our sweet tooth when we're dieting. Now that's going to lead us not eating off plan, so having one of these is very good to having when we're dieting. So next up we've got our oats. Now go for any really. Best ones to get are your Quakers instead of getting your ones like these, which don't taste the best, but they do. Now I tend to have these right in the morning for breakfast. I have an oat bowl with like protein powder, berries, etc, etc. But yeah, I wake up starving, like absolutely starving when I'm in the dieting phase, even when I'm in an off season as well. But I tend to have these just because they fill me up more than anything, so it's a good go-to for me in the morning. Now for post-workout, we want something that's high in carbs and high in sugar. Now you can go for things like your shredders, your frosters, I don't know where they are, but anything like that, your Rice Krispies. Now my go-to and what I have is Cocoa Pops. Now tend to go for the cheaper version because I think everything tastes the same, so you may as well just get it cheaper. That's my way of thinking anyway, but yeah, Cocoa Pops are my go-to. But yeah, as I said, anything with high sugar and high carbs is going to be a best source for our post-workout because it's easily digestible and quick and easy to eat. So next up we've got our Skia. Now we can either have, if you are getting this Skia, get the 0% fat one. Alternative to that is your Fage, whatever you want to call it. Just make sure it's the 0% because you can easily mix it up between the 5%. So we want that 0% fat one. But one thing I did want to mention, which people kind of mess up on, is if I put in the plan Skia Yogurt, if my client, which has happened before, was to get, let's say, the Skia vanilla one. Now if we look per 100 gram, the one that's flavoured has way higher sugar content, where we want the sugar content low. That's why we go for the natural 0%, because we tend to add protein powder to this anyway, so don't really need it flavoured. Now, yeah, per 100 gram in the normal, it is, if I can find it, sugar, 4 gram per 100 gram. Within this, it's 7.5 grams, so almost double. So that is not what we want to go for. So we go for the natural. So if you like your coffees like I do, I have about 2 coffees a day, and I don't really like black coffee at all. So instead of having your semi-skimmed, which is okay but not the best for the dieting phase, it's a lot more calories than if you was getting the red top. Well, it's not red top anymore, but the red skimmed milk. Now, another alternative to this, you can have your almond milk, which I put in my clients' plans, especially if when we're having our post-workout, if we get our protein shake and people don't really like it with water, if they've got a bad protein source, then tend to put almond milk in because it tastes a lot nicer than just water and protein powder. For my meats, we have our chicken breast. Now, these are really, really lean meats, low calorie and high protein, which is what we want. So I get a load of chicken breasts, and then for my red meat at night, I go for, if I can find it, here there it is, our beef mince, 5% fat. Do not get your 20% fats and your 15% fats. Do not go for any of them, especially in the dieting phase, because they obviously contain a lot more calories than the lean meat, which is 5%. So for seasonings to flavour things up, so with my oats I put cinnamon in it because it's got absolutely nothing in it and it tastes very, very nice. Now for things such as your chicken breast and your, if that goes back, no, your chicken breast and your mince, you've got your peri-peri seasoning, your steak seasoning, and your paprika, which is my favourite, especially with chicken, but just don't go ham on these. Like, of course have them, but just don't go ham because they still contain calories, obviously. So again, yeah, just don't go ham. So for my veg, I want it quick and I want it easy. So what I'll go for is the Bird's Eye Steam Fresh mixed veg. Now, these are very quick and easy, just bang them in the microwave, take 2 minutes, and therefore you don't have to cook them. Now, you can obviously get them cheaper if you go for these sorts of things and mix them all together, but I just want it something quick and easy. So obviously, of course, can make it cheaper if you've got the time, but most times I can't bother to cook it. So in my oats, I have berries. Now I mix these. I have blueberries and I have raspberries. Really nutritious, really good for you, and they taste absolutely banging. And especially get the frozen ones, because when you're in a dieting phase, obviously you're really, really hungry. So you want to eat your meals quick, but it's not going to be the best for us. So if we get frozen, it's going to be a little bit slower for us to eat it. Therefore, obviously through the day, it's going to make us less hungry. Now, another good carb source for me, especially in a dieting phase, rice fills me up a lot compared to having potatoes. Now, for many people, potatoes, especially my clients, put potatoes in their plan when they're dieting. Now, it fills them up way, way more than it does me. I'm just the odd one out, which rice fills me up a lot more. So that is why I have rice, to keep me full and satiated for longer. When I'm in a dieting phase and when I'm in off-season, diet drinks are my best friend. Now, I tend to go for a zero sugar beverage, which you should do anyway, like your Pepsi Maxes, your Coke Zeros, etc. But my favourite, Ultra Rosa Monster, tastes amazing. Now, when you're in an off-season, it might not be as good as it does fill you up quite a lot, but when you're in a dieting phase, it tends to ease that hunger off a little bit. So they're very, very good for flavour and hunger cravings. Sauces then. Now, what you want to be opting for is your lighter than light mayos and your 50% reduced salt. I don't know where it is. It will be here. 50% reduced salt and sugar. Now these are a lot less calories compared to the standard ones. If we look at the Mayo, for example, gets lighter than light, wherever it is. Don't know where it is, we'll go for light anyway. Light compared to normal. Now if we look per serving, so 15 gram, 97 calories in the normal, per 15 gram in the lighter, it's 40 calories, so almost half, so much better. So we are back in the car now. So there are a few things that I did not pick up because the shop is just shut. So I'm going to list them off now so you know what I would pick up as such when I was if I was in the dieting phase. Now, the first thing which I used to pick up all the time, which was 10 calorie jellies, your heartless jellies. Raspberry ones are my favourite. Now, you want to get the sugar-free ones, obviously 10 calorie. Now, these are just, they're good in a off-season as well. Obviously, you don't want to eat too much and put too much body fat on too quickly. So, just having one of those is going to fulfill our sweet tooth. So, they are probably the best thing to have because they are so little calories. So, there is one major one that I did miss off. Now, this was because the shop has just shut, so I completely forgot about it. Now, it was dark chocolate. Now, you need to be specific, especially if you're a coach telling your client this. Now, you can't just tell your client dark chocolate because there's a whole different range, so you need to be specific. Now, it's the 85% one. So you can get the 70% one and 85% one. Obviously, they are both good, but you want to opt for the 85% one just because our primary source we want from that is the fat. So if we're going for the 70% one, it's got more carbs in it, and that is not what we want. We want, obviously, the fats, and that's what we have it in there for. And obviously, tastes very, very good. I'll have it in my oats in the morning, melt it in the middle. If you look back at my previous video, you will see how I make that. So go back now if you haven't watched it, and go and watch that. Now, another one. When a client comes to me on his check-in and he said he's had numerous amount of beers on the weekend, obviously it's going to be very, very bad, especially if we are dieting. It's going to put us in a massive, massive surplus. If we are, say, had 8 pints on the weekend, that's going to be like your whole day's worth of calories just on beer. Now, things to opt for instead of having your pints, you would have your vodka and your gin with 0 calorie, so that's like 0 sugar mixers, like your Pepsi Max or Coke Zero or your diet lemonade, something like that. That is the best thing. Obviously, it's not optimal for obvious reasons as well, but it's a lot better than having a 300 calorie pint and having 8 of them. And then things to help, which really, really helps me with my sweet tooth, is 0 calorie syrups. Now, I have the Skinny Food Co. one, the maple syrup one, which absolutely tastes banging. But you can get salted caramel one from like Bulk, etc. But obviously, that has 0 calories. Obviously, it has a little bit in, but the amount you're going to put in won't be a lot, and it'll be 0 calorie essentially. So having that is going to, again, fulfill your sweet tooth. I'd have this in like your oats or your Skia bowl. They're the best things to mix it with. Or if you're just having bagel on itself, obviously going to be a bit dry, so drizzle a bit of maple syrup on and make it taste very, very good. That then wraps up another video. I hope you have enjoyed. If you do go on to take these tips and tricks and implement them into your own dieting phase, do let me know, and it's going to make your dieting phase a lot more easier and successful. So again, if you have enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.